Okay, I'll let them know. Okay, it came up with the Freedom Revolution Network page, so we're here. Okay, folks, we are back live with you. I apologize for that. I thought we were live. Terry Rempel, it's good to see you, brother. We have Terry on the air with us. Terry, you here? I hope. I should have Terry here, and I'm not getting Terry here. Something is really weird, and Terry, are you muted? I hope you're not muted. Doggone it. I hope we're here. Folks, this is Ron Tyler with Emergency Management Associates coming to you live from Crossroads of the West in Salt Lake City, Utah. The time right now is 7:12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, January 15th, 2020, Wednesday, January 15th, 2020. Sorry about this. We had a flub up, and I'm sorry that the video did not start right away, but somehow we have a flub up. I am not hearing Terry. We have Terry Rempel in the house, but I'm not hearing Terry. I was sure I would hear Terry. Doggone it. I don't know why we are still showing a page that we don't want to show here. Okay, here we go. This is the page we wanted to show you a little bit ago that we were showing. We wanted to show you the earthquakes that we have, one in southern Mexico, one off the coast of Peru, and one over in Argentina, 5.0. I still don't have Terry Rempel with us on the air, and I don't know why.
Well, I'm here, Ron.
There you go. Now Terry's here. Hey, Terry.
You were having issues, so I went and made a sandwich.
Oh, Terry made a sandwich. Yay. We got Terry in here in the house, in my ears. That means he's being broadcast worldwide to the entire world. Everybody's here. We were waiting on Scarlett. I've invited her. I'm hoping she'll come through. We wanted her in house too. I don't know what's happened to her. I haven't talked to her today. Doggone. Anyway, Terry, I was just briefing people on the large earthquakes we've had. I don't want to spend a lot of time on earthquakes tonight because we talk about that Monday and Thursday. We'll be talking about that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like I said just a little bit ago, we've had a large earthquake of 5.2 down in southern Mexico. We've been expecting that to happen. It finally did. We've had a 5.3 just off the coast of Warmi, Peru, just off the coast. Down in Argentina, We've also had another earthquake of 5.0 near San Martin, Peru, approximately, I want to say 11 miles, 11 miles from San Martin, northwest of San Martin, Argentina. We've also had another large earthquake of 5.0 over in central Argentina, 38 kilometers, which is approximately 17, 18 miles um, from northwest of Nasano Dua, Indonesia. This is in central Indonesia. Now, I'm going to zoom in on this earthquake and show you some aftershocks. This earthquake has had numerous aftershocks here. Okay. We've had a 4.5 magnitude quake 60 kilometers southeast of Kupang, Indonesia. This earthquake, whoa, it's two different large earthquakes. I thought it was just one. Two different large earthquakes. This one is a 5.5, a mid-range 5.5 magnitude earthquake, Kupang, Indonesia. And then we've had a 5.0 near Nisano Dua, Indonesia. Nisano Dua, Indonesia there. So we've had two earthquakes over in central Indonesia today. Wow, south central Indonesia, two earthquakes there. Over near Lombok, Indonesia, we've had a 4.7 south of Lombok, Indonesia. Now, folks, this is on an earthquake fault or just south of an earthquake fault over here. This earthquake has happened over here in Lombok, Indonesia before, but it was a lot stronger. A 7.2 earthquake hit several years ago, which caused a tsunami in Lombok, Indonesia. So here's another one. It's a 4.7 in Lombok, Indonesia today. All right. Continuing here. Boy, I just moved my cursor and it flies. Okay, over here in Japan, off the coast of Hokkaido, off the northeast coast of Hokkaido, is another 5.0 magnitude earthquake. 5.0 magnitude earthquake, approximately 30 miles southwest of Nemuro, Japan. Nemuro, Japan, which is over in northeastern Hokkaido area. Now, this was off the coast of Hokkaido, so they did not feel the full wrath of a large earthquake in Hokkaido, Japan. Where is this information or this earthquake coming from? Coming from the South Pacific. Coming from the South Pacific. We had a 5.0 magnitude earthquake over in Mindanao, Philippines, just 2 days ago. That's where this earthquake is coming from. Before that, before the Philippine earthquake hit, it was down in the South Pacific around Vanuatu and also south of Fiji. Now, I also wanted to show you why I've got the map up. Over off the coast of Kamchatka Peninsula, we have a 4.6 magnitude quake. If you'll notice this earthquake is right next to the Aleutian Island chain. So this earthquake will be proceeding up the Aleutian Islands and into Alaska up here. Now the USGS is not showing all of the actual earthquakes that have happened here in Alaska today. However, Nikiski, Alaska, just north of Mount Redoubt, had a 2.8 magnitude earthquake. Okay. Also, when we were on the air earlier today, I showed you the 4 earthquakes that happened up here in northwestern Washington and Victoria, Canada. Victoria, Canada today had a minor earthquake there and 3 others in Washington state, including one at Mount Rainier today. One earthquake at Mount Rainier today. I think we're not going to talk about that necessarily unless we have a lot more time after what we get through talking about. But that's what's happened. That's what's happened today. We talked about earthquakes over in Mammoth Mountain, California. We've talked about some earthquakes over off of Shasta, California, Northern California. So, and those we showed those uh, seismograms earlier. So that's what we have here right now in in the world. In the world, those are the major earthquakes. And I just saw one that just came in, and so I'm going to mention this too. This just came in within the last few minutes. A 4.6, a 4.6 up in northern Peru, 9 kilometers northwest of Barranca, Peru. That's what's happened up there. This is just south of the Ecuador border in northern Peru today. As you also know, that uh, Puerto Rico continues to get hit by minor, small, and moderate earthquakes over off the coast of South Puerto Rico today. We've also had, while I'm talking about it, might as well show it to you. We've also had a earthquake over just north of the Mona Passage. This was a minor 2.8 magnitude earthquake there, just north of the Mona Passage. There was a 5.2 magnitude earthquake south of Puerto Rico. This is an aftershock from the 8.4 and the 8.0 magnitude quake we've had last week. The 8.4 hit on Tuesday, the 8.0 hit on Friday. These were both put out as 6.4 and 6.0, and that just wasn't the case. We showed you the seismograms, the heliograms from both those days, and we proved to you that it was far stronger than what USGS and the other agencies put these quakes. So that's what's happened in your neck of the woods and other neck of the woods as well. So we are well on our way here to seeing bigger things, and I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I'm actually hoping that does not happen. We don't need any more earthquakes. We just don't. And quite honestly, it's got to stop. At some point, it's got to stop. It's not going to. Terry and I both discussed this with you in the past months, that we know what's happening at Cascadia. That is going to continue to show. And that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is, the way it's going to be. So let's get back and talk about our topic of discussion tonight. I still don't see Scarlett coming in and joining us. Darn it. Terry, you're still here.
I'm still here.
All right. We wanted to talk to you guys tonight about herbal remedies. I wanted to get off this. Okay, here we go. Now we got a blank page. Herbal remedies. Terry has a lot of information about herbal remedies that he's put together for emergency purposes. I'm going to let him talk, and I'm going to intersperse Terry's information with the information that I have. Terry, why don't you tell us about the things that you've done to prepare for emergencies?
Well, one of the best herbs that we have widely available, because you're going to be looking at illnesses as an issue without antibiotics. You're going to be looking at antiseptic needs, bacterial infections, all of those. And all of those can be covered by a single plant. It's very effective. My daughter used it for mono, and 2 cups of it killed her blood test confirmed and fully symptomatic mononucleosis. So it has potent antiviral properties, and anything that has antiviral properties is also an effective antibacterial and antifungal. This also doesn't have any known interactions with any other medications. So that's a good thing. And it can be used topically or internally. It's also part of a parasite cleanse. And this herb is known as Oregon grape root. It's got a fancy botanical name that I don't bother with. Anybody that looks up Oregon grape root on the computer will find all the properties of that. And it's quite easy to harvest if you know how to harvest it. It's available all the way through Oregon and up to Alaska, or most of Oregon into Alaska. I'm not sure if it's available in California. Any place you've got a road that's into a cut bank next to a forest with fir trees will have this plant. It's quite widespread, but it likes gravelly soils. So it's really hard to harvest unless you have a road cut into a gravel bank. And then through natural processes of erosion, it just exposes long lengths of the root. You take your pruning shears and prune off the roots that are actually going to die anyway, and you don't have to dig them out. I like the easier version.
Yeah.
Now, how to use it? You're basically going to use the same process as making tea, but you're going to steep it for longer. After you've harvested the plant, then you use everything but the leaves and the tops. If you're going to be a nice harvester, what you'll do is you'll harvest in the spring or in the fall when it's wet, and you'll take about 5 inches of the plant, cut it off, stick it back in the ground, and it'll grow a new plant most of the time. So that's responsible harvesting. Then you keep the product going. But regardless, you get it home and you just give it a good rinse. Get the moss. There'll be moss on the stems. You use the entire brown part that has the yellow inside. When you cut through it with your pruning shears, because that's what you'll need, you cut short sections of this off, and you do an awful lot of cutting to get a pile of product. You can spread that out and dry it and save it for future use. And it's got to be well dried, just as any herb does. And then you bring it out when you need it, or you can just use it fresh. It doesn't have to be dried.
What's the name of this again?
It's called Oregon grape root. Oregon grape root. Now, for an internal illness, viral, bacterial, you put basically a good-sized handful in a pot with about 3 or 4 cups of water. And if you have dechlorinated water, or you can just take water in a jar and wash it back and forth, and it'll dechlorinate just through aeration. It's better to use with any herbs to use dechlorinated water. Anyway, you put all your chunks in a pot. You put in a pint and a half of water and bring it to a boil. Let it boil for a minute. Turn it down and let it simmer for 20 minutes, and the water will turn quite yellow. And for people ask how strong to make this. As long as it's a strong yellow color, similar to what you make the first time, and tastes quite strong, then it's going to be effective. Because it's big chunks of wood by comparison with tea leaves, you can put in half the amount of water and make another batch after the first batch is gone. And before you drink it, you want to pour it through a strainer. Let it cool. You can put it in a container in the fridge. and then you have a cup of this tea. Now, when you're starting out on anything herbal, your system should have a chance to adjust to it. I've never had any issues with it. I'm not sure that there are any issues to be had with it, but it's just generally a good idea. So half a cup in the morning, half a cup at night. If you tolerate the half cup that you had in the morning, you can have another one in the afternoon. 3 times a day is better. And that would give you a cup and a half a day. It's very effective. Now, if you have a wound, you can simply soak your cloth bandage, and put it over the wound, and then it will act as an antibacterial on top of the wound and keep it from becoming infected or fight any infection that's there. It's really very effective. For people that get fungus issues with their feet, some people do, one option with this or any other foot issues, because if you're going to be out on trails and getting blisters and stuff like that, you might get some other type of foot issue. You can just dip your sock in the tea, let it dry, put it on. When your feet sweat, it will activate it and it'll medicate your feet.
Well, that's a great idea. That's awesome.
Yeah. It'll turn your socks yellow permanently. I don't think anybody's too worried about that if they're White Sox.
Yeah, for White Sox.
So that's one of the most effective, widely available plants there is. I mean, it's not everywhere in the world, but it is a widely available plant. For a very serious infection, you do a 2-week course of it. And I'm talking about an illness. Just like antibiotics, stay on course for a couple of weeks, make sure you've killed it. And the nice thing about Oregon grapefruit is it doesn't kill your good intestinal flora, which are necessary, and antibiotics do kill your intestinal flora. So it just goes after the bad stuff. It's very selective.
That's great.
Yeah. So it's a good product to be aware of.
Do you think we could buy this down here in the rest of the United States outside of Oregon or Washington or Canada?
I believe it's available in health food stores. I've never, I've been told that it is, but I've never looked for it myself. You have to make sure that the Oregon grapefruit that you get still has a very yellow core. Even when it's dry, it should look yellow. That yellow comes out when they've processed it, and I understand that some health food stores will sell the used up product, which means you're basically buying wood with almost no Oregon grapefruit juice left in it. The quality of it is deteriorated by being pre-used in the pharmaceutical industry.
Wow.
So if you buy a little bit, you make some, and it doesn't turn the water yellow, you might as well just not bother with it, because it's got a very strong yellow color.
Good to know.
When it's dry, it's a faded yellow color, but when it's fresh, it's bright yellow.
Yeah. I don't like regular antibiotics either, and I'm going to start looking into this myself. This is a great idea.
Yeah.
This
I haven't
really
used
is.
antibiotics for a long time, many years, decades.
Oh, that's great. That's great. What other good things do you have for us tonight?
Well, let's now, have you got some people in chat there? Let's let somebody talk about oil of oregano and its properties.
Okay, let's talk about oil of oregano. Okay, let's do that. Let's go over here a second.
'Cause I know there's some people on there that are up on oil of oregano, colloidal silver. I just thought I'd start with one and
Yeah.
let someone start in on the next one.
Let's do that. Let's talk to somebody here. Okay. All right. Yeah, Scooter Pie, we got a white chalkboard, a whiteboard. Patty talking about antibiotics, but only hear him, not anyone else can tell he's listening to somebody else. They're not hearing me. No kidding.
Oh,
That's weird.
were they hearing me at all?
Yeah, they were hearing you, but not me. I'm not muted. My microphone is on. Oh, this is really weird.
Don't make me do all the talking, Ron.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's your program.
It is my program. Oh, that is weird. That is really weird. Okay, can anybody hear? Ron, we hear you, but not Terry, unless we're on Facebook. Oh, that's weird, Terry. Some people are hearing both of us, and other people are only hearing you. That's weird. And somebody, Candy says they can't hear you, Terry. Oh, that's weird.
Well, this isn't working out.
Yeah. Scooter Pie says, and you keep going in and out, Ron. Gosh. Guest Laura says Usnea, USNEA, is great for upper respiratory infections. I've not heard of that yet. Someone sent me information about that I haven't had a chance to go over yet. But Usnea, USNEA, is good for upper respiratory infections. I'll have to take a look at that here. In fact, I can bring that up. I have the ability to go to my email and check that. So I will go and check Usnea in my email.
You're going to take turns, just to be fair here, Ron.
Yes, true. Just to be fair. Okay, Usnea booklet. Our friends, the Hows, sent this to us earlier. This is a PDF on Usnea. And up until today, I never heard of it. I just never heard of it.
Where does it grow?
I'm not sure. It's the booklet is written by Botanica Press out of Capitola, California. Other books and herbs and health series by Christopher Hobbs, milk thistle, medicinal mushrooms, echinacea, which I love. Echinacea, oh my gosh, that is a great antibiotic. All right. Oh, it's a lichen family, Terry.
Oh, okay.
The table of contents here, this is cool. This is cool. I'm going to see if I can share this page with you folks. Okay, now everybody can see it. This is a booklet. I'm going to back this up so everybody can see it, about Usnea, USNEA, the herbal antibiotic. Apparently, Usnea is it talks about history of traditional uses of lichen. Okay, lichens are the growth that you see, it's usually a green growth on the side of a tree. And it looks like a small bush, a tiny bush. I mean, a really tiny bush. And this talks about the lichen dyes, signature skull, and astrological signs, chemistry of lichens here. Um, description of Usnea species is page 10. So let's scroll down to page 10 and talk about the different kinds of lichens and Usnea. Okay, Usnea plicata, astringent whooping cough. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to go down to page 10 here. That's 7. Okay, over on page 8 of this
Old man's
booklet.
beard. Yeah, okay.
Old man's beard, Usnea or old man's beard, hangs in gray-green strands from pines, oaks, Douglas fir, apple trees, and other fruit trees in orchards and forests throughout the northern hemisphere. The Usnea species are the most common use of antibiotic and antifungal lichen acids, particularly usnic acid. They have widespread potential for medicinal applications. This person says, I've collected one species is called longisma in California for more than 5 years, manufactured a liquid extract that has proven effective for urinary tract infections and upper respiratory infections. Chinese herbologists have used this same species for thousands of years, calling it sun lo, and that's something I've heard about. The Malaysians still use some Usnea species as a special tonic, a general tonic for tea and colds.
I have a quart jar of it in my cupboard with 90% alcohol.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. So how do you prepare that with alcohol?
Basically, it's just a soap.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
So it's an antibiotic soap then?
Yeah. Soak. S-O-A-K.
Oh, soak.
Yeah.
Antibiotic soak. That's a good idea.
So I soak it in alcohol, and then it's for topical applications after that.
Right.
I mean, you can drink it, I suppose, but
not with alcohol in it.
you want to thin that down.
Oh yeah, very much thinned down.
You wouldn't be taking a very much, because if you can imagine a quart jar packed right tight with that moss, old man's beard, Usnea, Sunlow, there's actually not a lot of room for alcohol in the jar.
Wow.
You just stuff it right in there, and then you only take about a teaspoon.
Wow.
At a time.
Yeah, there's a picture here. There's a black and white picture of the Usnea lichen plant. Lichen is a plant. Well, it's not really. That's not true either. It's not a plant.
It's two plants. There's two that grow together to form one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because I thought it was it's like a someone told me it's like a moss. It's not really a plant. It's I don't remember what they called it. A fungus.
Yeah, it's a fungus, but it's okay. I consider fungi to be plants.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
if you don't, then that's okay.
Yeah, somebody said told me it wasn't a plant, it was a fungus, and I'm going, fungus? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. It says here these lichen acids are effective against gram-positive bacteria such as Streptococcus, Staphylococcus, Mycobacterium, tuberculosis, and other fast-growing species. The acids have little effect on gram-negative bacteria such as Salmonella and E. coli that inhabit the digestive tract. This may be a mixed blessing. It would be nice if Yersinia extract inhibited salmonella and other pathogenic bacteria of the gram-negative type. On the other hand, it's good that E. coli is not much affected. E. coli can be beneficial and is particularly disturbed by broad-spectrum antibiotics such as penicillin. Interesting. That's very interesting.
Now, I use one product as an herbal remedy, but it's actually in the superfood class. And it has so many benefits because everything that is a high-grade superfood has an awful lot of benefits.
Right.
So this product is called Chlorella, and it's spelled Chlorella. Chlorella, and it's a freshwater green algae. Now, the reasons for use for this are many. First of all, it has a complete spectrum imbalance of all the nutrients you need to survive, except for iron. It's a complete food all by itself. So if you're looking for a natural source of minerals and vitamins, that's the one. You need to get a damaged cell wall chlorella. It's a single-celled freshwater green algae, and the cell wall is too tough for our bodies to break down. So that's how it starts, but it also detoxes over 30 pesticides, all heavy metals, even furans, dioxins, and radiation. It actually detoxes radiation out of your system.
Wow.
While it's doing all of that, it enhances gut function, intestinal function.
Wow.
It increases intestinal mucus production and helps repair and healing of the small intestine, all of the intestinal system. Now, for detoxing, it works better in conjunction with cilantro. Cilantro works to release toxins from whatever area they're stored in. Some toxins are more fat soluble, some are stored in the bones, some are stored in muscle tissue. It's a big mix of what gets stored where. So taking this product along with cilantro is an effective means of detoxing and keeping yourself generally healthy.
Wow.
So I use it as a daily supplement.
That's great. That's great. Laura just said that I ought to look into using Usnea for bronchitis. It might help. Someone also said it's good for strengthening the immune system. How about chlorella? Is that good for strengthening the immune system too?
Absolutely, because anything that not only gives you more nutrition, but reduces your toxin load. And everybody's exposed to toxins regardless of where they are. They're in the air, if nothing else. And we accumulate toxins over time. So it reduces toxins. And when you reduce your toxin load, you increase your immune system function.
Wow. That's cool. Yeah, I can see how that can happen easily. Reduce your toxin levels. That's going to help your entire bodily functions.
That's right.
To get rid of those toxins. I've been on a cleanse, a 30-day cleanse. I've been on a 10-day cleanse, a week cleanse. That's really good. Get rid of all those toxins out of your body, and you immediately, at least I did. I gained strength. I felt so good getting rid of all that junk in your body. It's amazing. Guest Laverne says, wheatgrass can gargle, heals gums, throats, can be swallowed, is good detox. I've also eaten wheatgrass. You can grow wheat. In fact, here in Utah. We're in the dead of winter. We have freezing temperatures at night. Today we had a heat wave. It got up to 42 degrees. Woohoo! 42 degrees Fahrenheit here in Salt Lake. But in the dead of winter, even right with temperatures right now at 42 degrees outside, inside the house, if you have some wheat and you put some paper towels down on a sheet, a cookie sheet or whatever, and sprinkle wheat on top of it, then cover it up with another paper towel, and then spray it with some water. Within a day or two, you're going to have wheatgrass.
Very good for you.
And it's very good for you. And it will keep growing. You can use scissors to cut it. You can put wheatgrass in your salads. You can even put it with your cereals and stuff and eat it in the morning for breakfast. I've even included it with tomatoes on a sandwich. Cut up some tomatoes and put wheatgrass on the sandwich and eat it that way too. It's very good for you. Very good. I love wheatgrass. Joe Bob says, "What's going on tonight? Herbal discussion night." Yes, that's what we're doing. Last night we decided to do that. Laura says, "Cilantro, yuck, tastes like soap."
Yeah. It tastes like swamp to me.
It tastes like swamp. Believe it or not, guys, you're talking to a guy that likes to put cilantro on Mexican food.
Oh, yeah.
I use cilantro on Mexican food, so I eat that swamp. I eat that soap.
And so do I.
And so does Terry. Yes, I like cilantro, matter of fact. I put it in salads of all kinds of salads. Doggone it. Almost every salad I have has got a little bit of cilantro mixed in with it. And yes, it's good for you. It's very good for you. It tastes like soap. I never thought of that one. It might.
Now, for all you diabetics, cinnamon.
Yes, cinnamon. Oh, yes.
Cinnamon has a number of effects. One of the positive effects for diabetics, is that it assists glucose through the cell wall.
Yeah.
So it reduces the issues for diabetics.
Yeah. It would when I have toast in the morning, I sprinkle cinnamon on I have 2 pieces of toast in the morning. Why? Because I want cinnamon on it. That way I eat cinnamon and it reduces my blood sugar. I'm a diabetic. I don't have to use as much insulin when I've had cinnamon. And for me, it's best in the morning because it will help reduce my sugar levels, my glucose levels all day long.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to do. I don't always think of going ahead and making toast every day. It gets boring sometimes if you do that. But I try to. I try to have a couple pieces of toast with my cereal, for example, whether I have oatmeal for breakfast, bran flakes. I like bran flakes, and I don't put sugar on anything anymore. I don't use much sugar at all. Even when I bake cookies, I don't use as much sugar as it calls for. You have to have, when you bake sweets, treats in your oven, cakes and brownies and stuff. Not so much with brownies, but cakes and pancakes and such. You need a little bit of sugar to help it brown, to help your whatever you're baking go brown on you, to toast. And so you have to have a little bit of sugar in there. But for example, when I bake chocolate chip cookies, I use dark chocolate chips, number one. Dark chocolate also helps reduce your blood sugar. Plus, I don't use as much sugar in my cookies. Okay. And my kids and my wife can't tell the difference. Okay. It's good. You can even cut your sugar down to half or even less. And sugar is actually toxic for you. If you've done any studies on sugar since I become a diabetic, I've done a lot of research on sugar. Sugar is actually poison for your body.
Yep.
You don't have to use it as much as people do. Okay. So I I would highly recommend you even cut out a lot of the sugar that you use. And there's other natural products you can use instead of sugar. And I've got stuff upstairs in a box like this, a box like this. And what I use it for is for in place of sugar when I absolutely have to have something that's sweeter. Every once in a while, my cereal, whatever I'm eating, I'll go, man, I just don't want to do this anymore without sugar on it. And I'll take this stuff. It's a wood bark. It's a wood bark product that they grind up and it looks like sugar. It's a powder. But you grind it up and it looks like a powder and you can sprinkle maybe a half a teaspoon on your cereal and it acts like a sweetener. And I wish I'd brought some down with me. I didn't even think about it. But it's a natural, it's not an herb or anything. That's why it didn't even occur to me to bring it down tonight. But you sprinkle it on your cereal and such, and voila, you don't have to use sugar at all. Okay? You don't have to use sugar at all. I'm just scrolling through the chat here.
Yeah, rose hips are a good source of vitamin C, and so is cayenne pepper of all things.
Yes, it is. That is. It's awesome, in fact. Rose hip, folks, if you go to the store, and almost any store will have it, rose hip tea. Rose hip tea. And you drink that, one, it makes you feel better for me. It boosts my metabolism, believe it or not. And it's good for your immune system. Rose hip tea will be good for your immune system. Wapiti says, take cinnamon capsules after a meal with a lot of starch. Yes, starch turns to sugar. So yeah, I guess you could use cinnamon capsules. I've just never seen them.
Laura had elderberry on there. And what part of the elderberry do you use? Are you using the berries, the roots, the branch, the bark? It's up a little higher, Ron.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you're going down. Go back about 8 posts.
8 posts, okay.
There.
Elderberry, yeah.
So Laura's going to have to type in what part of elderberry you use.
Yeah, I would love to know.
Because it's a whole bush.
Yeah. I want to know. Yes, CJ, you can use xylitol as well as a sugar supplement, and it's a natural sub.
Oh, sorry, I'm interrupting.
Berries for elderberries.
Yeah,
okay.
Use berries.
Cool.
Now, another good one to be aware of is hawthorn berry. And actually, hawthorn leaves, flowers, and berries all contain the same product. It's used in a lot of natural herbal remedies. Hawthorn extract used, and this comes from German studies, used as directed, and that That's a tincture. It's alcohol based because people with atherosclerosis typically have intestinal issues, and that's why the alcohol's there. But you're not taking very much alcohol. You're only taking an eyedropper full at a time.
Yeah.
But you pick the leaves, berries, and flowers, or either one of them, any of them, and pick them from a number of bushes, because like apples, there's a number of varieties of hawthorn all growing together. And you do an alcohol soak with those as well. And then you've made your own tincture. You can concentrate it a little bit by letting it evaporate. You can evaporate some of the alcohol off. But according to German studies, now in these German studies, what they do is they use anybody that's in the population that uses anything herbal or medicinal, like a pharmaceutical, goes into a database. What results goes into a database, and then researchers go into the database. So it's rather than double-blind studies, they're massive population size-based studies. So what this product does, according to the German research, is it gets rid of 90% of atherosclerotic plaque inside of 6 months.
No kidding.
Eliminates the cause of most high blood pressure. It also promotes revascularization of the heart. It improves circulation in your heart specifically, but it does so elsewhere in your body, even helping glaucoma. Glaucoma also being a circulatory issue, but one within your eye.
Wow.
So and it has no negative side effects. What happens is you start feeling better and you have to start cutting down on your medication. And that's the risk, being over medicated as you get better. Wow. And what it's doing is it's getting rid of the cause of the problem instead of treating the symptoms.
That's great.
Hawthorn is incredible.
Yeah. That's great.
And again, it doesn't have a negative interaction with any medications that I'm aware of. There was some question as to whether it had a reaction with the digoxin, but digoxin is just about not in use anymore. So that's just about gone away.
Well, that's great. That is really great.
You imagine getting rid of 90% of the cause of strokes and heart attacks.
Yeah.
Like inside of 6 months, getting rid of 90% of the problem that underlies.
Wow.
And if your circulation is better, your entire health is better.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. I hadn't even thought of that. I'm going to look into that because I don't want blood pressure problems. I haven't had them. My father had blood pressure problems for a while, and then he just watched what he ate, and the blood pressure problems went away. I've never had those issues. I don't want those issues. That's great. That's great. I love these suggestions, guys. These are awesome things.
Smart, Petey. She says I take it every day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably a good idea.
You don't wait till you have a problem. If you know that there's a potential of having a problem, take it as a preventative.
Yeah. That's a good idea. How much do you think we should take as a preventative?
As a preventative, you just take basically an eyedropper a day.
Wow. It's not bad.
No.
Wow. That's wild. That's wild. One of the things that I like to use, and I have my physician's kit here, my physician's kit, one of the things I have is a product by doTERRA called Digest Zen. Digest Zen. Digestzen. Digest Zen. It's a oil. It's an oil, and you take like 3 or 4 drops and you mix it in with whatever I just put it in, for example, mashed potatoes, or I put it in some other food that I'm going to eat. 2 or 3 drops. If I've got an upset stomach, this digestion essential oil will stop my stomach problems. Totally stop my stomach issues. Sour stomach, aching stomach, stuff like that, stops it quick. Stops it quick. I love it. I love it. You got to know how to use stuff. I recommend a book that doTERRA puts out on how to use essential oils. And I can't find my copy. I put it someplace. I've been looking for it most of the day. I haven't been able to find it. But I highly recommend using that, using Digest Zen, excuse me, as a use to stop stomach issues. Stopping stomach issues. It's a good thing. One of the other things is that I have, someone asked last night about pain relief. I've got an oil called Deep Blue. Again, these are all doTERRA products. And I wanted to get Scarlett on here tonight, and I wish she had been able to join us. But Scarlett uses a similar product from Young Living, which is also an essential oil company. But both companies have their own labels on their essential oils. But this Deep Blue, if you put it with a little bit of lotion, a couple of drops with some lotion in your hand and rub it on a painful area, it will stop the pain. It will stop the pain. You can buy the Deep Blue either as an oil, or you can buy it as a cream. The cream is like $35 for a good sized tube, for a big sized tube. And you rub, it comes like it's just like a regular lotion. And you put it on, I put it on my back. I put it on my legs. Occasionally I'll get a cramp in my leg, or I've been walking too far or got too much exercise, and I'll put the Deep Blue on it and the pain will go away. Or I've got a painful knee. Terry, I'm sure you've been doing the labors and work that you do. You get painful knees occasionally, don't you?
Actually, I don't.
You don't?
No.
No kidding.
I don't have any significant joint issues. I have a bit of a little bit of a quirky back, but
yeah.
I had a bunch of back injuries as a paramedic with some very heavy patients in very awkward situations.
Yeah.
And then after I finished all of that, I fell off my roof and broke my back in 5 places.
Yeah.
Knocked out about half my ribs.
Well, bet.
You guys want to know the fastest means of healing? Because I was 50 and I fell off my roof. So I'm going to give you the real short version of what I did to get back to work, deadlifting 300 pounds and no back pain. And what I'd done is I'd fallen 14 feet off my roof while roofing my own house. I missed a tie-off point. And then relied on it, and off I went. So I broke my back in 5 places. I knocked about half my ribs out of place. I didn't break my ribs. And I tore up my right shoulder pretty bad.
Holy cats.
So I was pretty much of a mess. Walked out of the hospital later that afternoon after off to the hospital by ambulance. They said everything's still lined up. So I didn't have, I mean, my ribs were out of place, but my spine was lined up. They said there's nothing we can do. It was pieces broken off here and there, and I had a compression fracture of one vertebrae. So I was on very significant amounts of morphine, and I was okay with that. I needed it. The good thing about morphine is it works on endorphin receptors, and it's not hard on your liver like Tylenol and a bunch of the other medications. It's actually it's better for you for a long-term issue than a lot of other stuff, but you have to know how to wean off of it, and I did. So I didn't have any issues whatsoever in getting off of it because I completely understood how much to take to knock myself back by how much without having withdrawal symptoms.
Wow, that's great.
And I actually wrote papers about that and sent it to about half of the United States and every province in BC. To all the health ministers.
That's great.
But anyway, what I did to recover, I waited first before I started all of this. The first thing I did right away was quit everything white. So I had no white flour, no white sugar, no milk, nothing white in my diet. I eliminated all processed foods. I reduced red meat and ate more fish. Then I upped the level of chlorella that I was taking. I upped the level of hawthorn that I was taking. After 2 weeks, I started having a bath twice a day, as hot as I could stand it. I'd keep it hot. It was a full immersion heat requirement because it was just about all of me, such a large area was broken up and needed to heal. So I did that for 2.5 months, hot water soaks twice a day.
Wow.
I went to chiropractic after 7 weeks and got my ribs put back into place, and then it only hurt every breath again for about 3 weeks.
Gosh.
Oh, because I had to just sit around anyway, I let my torn up shoulder, I kept it immobilized for 7 weeks to let the soft tissue heal without moving my arm. And then it was absolutely riddled with scar tissue, because what happens is you've got little slidey sections between all the muscles that allow all the different movements of your shoulder. And that's the simple way to put it. And when you tear between those sliders, and you scar between the sliders, and it freezes your shoulder. And then you need to break up the scar tissue. And it's a good thing I was on lots of morphine at the time. I was taking 160 milligrams of morphine.
Wow.
And somebody on there saying, oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah, 160 milligrams of morphine a day.
Good gosh.
I was on heavy dose, but I was in incredible pain. And when I was on that morphine, I could sleep for about 5 minutes at a time.
No kidding.
Because the pain would wake me up.
Did you have problems breathing on morphine?
Only if I went over 160 milligrams.
Wow.
So I tried upping my dose to actually get on top of the pain. And then I had to coach myself to breathe. So I decided I couldn't take any more, and I supplemented with homemade wine.
Homemade wine, yeah.
I was in some incredible pain, let me tell you. Anyway, so after 7 weeks, I had chiropractic, and then at 8 weeks, I had massage therapy. I went to an energy healer as part of this to realign my chi, as it were.
Yeah.
because there's a disruption in your energy flow that goes along with a large fracture sequence or a massive injury. And that creates an issue. So actually aligning your energy flow of all things actually makes sense. I've had a cousin that's had the same thing happen after a major car accident, had a massive beneficial impact. Not everybody believes in it, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I can't remember. There was 12 facets to my healing program. I just can't remember them all right off the top of my head. But I mentioned the biggest ones. Oh, and to break up my shoulder, I used a lacrosse ball on the wall and just ground it in wherever it hurt to break up the scar tissue. And then I'd have to do that every day, twice a day. And after 2 months, I could throw a fastball again.
Wow.
Throw a baseball again. But it took about 2 months to free up my shoulder. And I regained all the strength back, and it worked just fine afterwards.
Yeah.
So the problem with most shoulder injuries is they're not immobilized. And it's like trying to heal a bone and not having it in a cast or splinted. If it keeps moving the ends around, the ends can't heal back together again.
Wow. Wow. Years ago, a lot of years ago, I had been rear-ended in a car accident. And the guy behind me hit me at 45 miles an hour. And I was at a stoplight. Unfortunately, he hit me, and I didn't hurt right away, but about 2 hours later, I couldn't move. I tried going up some stairs to see a client that I had, and I couldn't move. And I'm going, oh my gosh. And I was thinking of going and getting somebody to take me to the hospital because I literally couldn't move. I couldn't lift my legs. I had very little movement in my arms. And I'm going, this ain't good at all. That's exactly what I said. This ain't good at all. And I started going to see a chiropractor and a massage therapist, and then a physiologist helping me move my limbs, getting to exercise again. And the doctors, the insurance company sent me to a medical doctor who sent me to a surgeon who said, I'll never lift over 5 pounds again. Never lift over 5 pounds again. I'll be huddled over a cane walking. That's how bad the pain was. And they said, you need surgery. And then we can't guarantee that the surgery will even fix what you have, the injuries you have. And I said, you're not touching me. You're not touching me. So I continued going back to the chiropractor. The insurance cut me off, told me they wouldn't pay for any more visits to the chiropractor or doing anything. And I'm going, oh, really? You can't do that. Well, at the time they could. So they cut me off. I ended up having to pay for my own visits to the chiropractor, to the massage therapist, to the physiotherapist that was the exercise therapist, getting my body moving again. Remember that I told you what the surgeon said, that I'd have to have surgery and then I might not be able to even walk straight again. I'll probably still be in pain. Guess what I did just about 6 months after that? I applied. Yeah, I went and applied to the police department and got hired. And I passed the physical agility test without much pain at all. And I continued to work and work out and run. And I never had any more problems again. This after a surgeon tells me I'll never really walk again. I'll never lift 5 pounds again. And yet I threw around drunks for a living. I wrestled with drunks, took them to jail, wrestled with stupid people, took them to jail. And yet I wasn't supposed to be doing that. I'm supposed to never walk again. Really?
Well, they didn't
Yes.
expect me. They didn't expect me back at work 6 months after that injury. That's for sure.
Yeah. I can imagine. I can imagine.
Yeah.
During our physical agility test, they required us to lift a 150-pound dummy, run with that 150-pound dummy for 50 yards, then put him down on the ground, then lift him up again and throw him over a 4-foot fence on our back. We had to go over the fence with the dummy on our back. Not just throw him over the fence, throw ourselves over the fence with the dummy. And this was with me that wasn't supposed to lift more than 5 pounds again. Yeah.
The right approach for the right issue makes a huge difference.
Yeah. I
I
didn't pay
don't know
attention
what
to it.
wild lettuce is. I'm looking at your chat. I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah. I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about it.
So yeah, we are going back and looking at chat. Ron's in charge of the chat though. I just see what he ever has, whatever he has it on.
Guest Desmond says Ron is not on YouTube because of donations. No, that's not the biggest reason, folks. We're not live on YouTube anymore because YouTube was censoring our programs. They were taking parts of our program off, censoring it, taking it out of our program. And they were buffering. They were buffering our program so you guys couldn't listen, you guys couldn't see me, you guys couldn't do anything. That's why I left YouTube. Okay? Donations, that was just an added benefit. Okay? Yes, you guys can donate to us directly here on Freedom Revolution Network, and I will get 99% of it.
Instead of 47%?
Yeah, instead of getting 47%. Donations has almost nothing to do with why I left YouTube. It's an added benefit if you guys want to contribute to our program, that's great. But we're not requiring anybody to contribute to our program. Only if you want to make a donation.
Yeah, it doesn't, there's no charge for being a subscriber even here, is there?
No, there's no charge to be a subscriber here, as there are with other creators. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting him down. I'm not. But other creators do the same thing too.
Well, the Twitch platform requires a daily charge, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. But
I don't know a lot about the tech and platforms and stuff.
yeah. And
I'm not a tech guy.
Yeah.
I'm a research guy.
Yeah, me too. And I actually pay to be able to go on the air here. So if you think that I am doing this to get away from YouTube because they are charging me a lot of money, I'm paying to be on this platform so I can talk to you. I can talk without being scared of YouTube censoring me, buffering this program. Yeah, that's why I'm here. If I get donations, wonderful. That's wonderful. That's an added benefit. And yes, I have had donations through Freedom Revolution Network already. And that's wonderful. I think that's great. And I appreciate it, folks. Very much so, from the bottom of my heart. And if this chat room is not like YouTube, whereas they I can be notified when you make a donation to me. Please let me know. Please let me know if you do make a donation to our program. I will give you credit for it right here on the air. And in fact, let me tell you, I have 2 cards here. Keep the cards and letters coming. Okay? Keep the cards and letters coming. This good sister has been with our program for quite some time and sent me a beautiful card and sent $20. Sent me $20, which I greatly appreciate. This dear sister, Ginger, I'll just use her first name, Ginger, she sent me a beautiful card. She sent me a beautiful card, and I appreciate that. Her username on, or her handle on here is Racer Girl. She's been with us for quite some time as well, Racer Girl. But I really appreciate that, folks. I really appreciate it. You guys mean so much to us. You really do. You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. I love cards and letters. And in the future, I will read them. If you guys want me to read the cards and letters, I will. And even if you want me to, go ahead and put on the card that you'd like me to read it, or it's okay to read it, and I will. But I really appreciate that. Also, we've gotten some donations here for books. Stacy, you're going to get your book. Country Mouse, of course, you donated quite a bit of money to us this past week. You're getting a book, and you're also getting a t-shirt. Sharon, you're also getting a book. You wanted that book. We're going to be sending that off probably tomorrow. We really appreciate it. We really do. I can't tell you how much it means to us. It means a great deal to us. And if you send us a donation of $20, I told you I would send the book to you, and you don't have to pay for any more for shipping or anything else. I'm just going to send it to you. Kelly, I sent your book off the other day. You should have had it by now, I hope. But it's great. It's great to know that you are helping contribute to what we're doing here. And your money is going to wonderful things such as the camera that we're now using. Because the camera we're now using is a better camera than we had. And you're able to see me. You're able to see me. It's helping also to keep me on the air here with you, to keep this program on the air. Because like I said, I'm paying for this, for the privilege of being here. Okay. I also have a post office box. Post office box 526, Sandy, Utah, 84091. I pay for that as well every 6 months. So believe you me, I do appreciate everything that you guys give us. And it's like sacred money. It's sacred money. I watch every dime that I get to make sure that you guys are getting the best program that you can have. And as Mel says, this new program gives me many new tools to use to help you keep you informed. As you can see right now, you can see the chat room here. Terry and I have use of the chat room to talk with you. Okay? It's great. And look at the seismograms that we showed you last night. Okay?
Now, Ron, just
Yes.
so you're aware, because this came up near the end of the day, it actually started about 11 o'clock today. I'm not sure if you've looked at Mount Baker, Glacier Peak, and Mount Rainier.
I haven't seen them since earlier this evening.
but they are incredibly active. So
Yes, they
I
are.
just wanted to make you aware. That's all I'm
Yeah,
doing with that.
yeah,
If you want to look, that's fine. Or if you don't,
yeah,
that's fine.
yeah. Mount Rainier was really hot today.
Yeah.
It was hot today. There's infill going on at Mount Rainier, and they've had at least one or two earthquakes. Oh, and it's interesting that that USGS would show one earthquake over at Mount Rainier, and yet we had three others in northwestern Washington, and one of them being up at Victoria, Canada. So it's interesting how USGS would not tell us that and only showed one earthquake. And they'd only show it at Mount Rainier. And yet there's a lot of stuff going on. Mount Baker is going on. A deer
Mount Baker has the highest activity level I've seen there so far, and so does Glacier Peak.
yeah,
Those are new high levels. What are happening today?
yeah.
Just
I
so you're
hope
aware.
I hope my dear sister that lives right beneath Mount Rainier is listening tonight. I don't know whether you'd be on the air or on the chat room with us tonight. I haven't seen you on the chat room tonight,
She's
but
she can't get through with her mobile. This site is not set up for mobile phones, and that's what she's got.
yeah, yeah, you're right, she does. I talked to her earlier on the phone. We talked for almost an hour, and her daughter was beating her up for listening to me. And so I talked to her daughter. And guess what, folks? Now her daughter understands. I showed her some seismograms, one of Crater Lake. I showed her Mount Baker, and I showed her Mount Rainier. And all of a sudden she goes, "Oh my gosh, why aren't they telling us about this?"
Well, I'm glad you did that. I know who you're referring to, or I believe I do, and she's having a
Yeah,
pretty tough time.
yeah, she is. She's having a real tough time. She's family, folks. She's family. And I talk to you guys. I talk to a lot of you guys too. Okay. Either I talk to you in chat, I talk to you in comments that you send me. I talk to you on Messenger. I get emails from you guys. I love it. I'm communicating with a lot of you guys all day long. All day long. Pam Beth says, great presentation last night, guys. I loved it. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. We were fully expecting Scarlett to be with us tonight. She hasn't checked in with us. I was kind of hoping she still does before the end of our program tonight. But we are trying to give you the best programming possible. Okay.
I'll be back in 5, Ron.
Okay, no problem, Terry. Folks, we're talking about herbal medicine tonight. Why? Because one of you mentioned it. One of you mentioned it. We've been meaning to do this for quite some time. This is what we do. When you guys want us to talk about a particular subject, we will. We will. But we really appreciate it. Maddie, it's good to see you here. Thank you for joining us. Just love it. Should have had a bigger camera. You ought to see what I see in my camera or on my screen. I'm huge. I look like Andre the Giant. Mandy says, I can't see or hear you, Ron. Really? I'm sorry. Darn it. Darn it, darn it, darn it. Spammy says, today was a very active volcano day. He's right. Fuego volcano over in Guatemala is going off. Pacaya volcano is going off there. You missed that one. Not any fault to you, but Pacaya volcano is also going off. Klyuchevskoy over in Kamchatka Peninsula is going off in Russia. Popocatépetl over in southeast Mexico is going off, southeast of Mexico City. Krakatau in Indonesia is going off. Dukono in Indonesia is going off. Aso-san or Aso and Sakurajima are going off. There's another volcano that I won't even bother talking about because it's not going off today, but it's also in that same caldera as Aso-san and Sakurajima. Tall volcano in Philippines is going off. Ruapayu in the Philippines is going off. Sangay volcano and Reventador in Ecuador are going off. Sabancaya in Peru is going off. Planchon Peteroa over at the Argentine Chilean border is going off. Those are a lot of volcanoes, folks. And I bet you didn't remember, but we also have Stromboli and Etna. Stromboli and Etna over in Sicily, Italy area, in southern Italy, in Sicily, are going off as well. That's a lot of volcanoes. That's a lot of volcanoes. Klyuchevskoy is the only volcano that's still going off in the Kamchatka Peninsula. I don't know what happened to Shiveluch. All of a sudden it stopped. It was gun-ho for Shiveluch. A few months ago, it had an 85,000 foot eruption. 85,000 foot eruption into the stratosphere. Well, what just happened over with Taal volcano, Taal volcano in the Philippines, a 55,000 foot eruption. So those are huge, folks. Those are huge. We have a lot of volcanoes over in the western part of the Pacific that are erupting, not to include what is going on in Italy and Sicily. What is actually happening over in the eastern part of the Pacific? All we have is Sangay, Reventador, Sabancaya, Planchon, Peteroa, Popocatépetl, Fuego, and Pacaya that are going off on the east. So we've got three down in Central America, basically, including Popocatépetl. We've got Reventador and Sangay volcano in Ecuador. We have Sabancaya in Peru and Planchon Peteroa. That's seven. That's seven volcanoes over in the east. Over in the west, including Italy and Sicily, we've got, like I said, Stromboli and Etna. We've got Dukono and Krakatau in Indonesia. Okay, that's four. We have Sakurajima and Aso-san in Japan. That's six. And we have Taal and Ruapahu in the Philippines. And we have Klyuchevskoy in Russia. That's nine. So 9 and 7 is 16 volcanoes total. But 9 in the west and 6 in the east, or 7 in the east. That's quite a discrepancy there. That's quite a discrepancy. Let's see what happens going forward. Okay. I have a feeling more volcanoes are coming over in South America and also over in Central America too. We also have Santiguito volcano in Guatemala that had been going off. And there's also another volcano over there in Guatemala that could be going off. And we've got Nevado de Chilean that could be going off in Chile. And we have Nevado de Ruiz in Colombia. So that's three more volcanoes that could be going off in the east as well. And we're not even talking about Shellhalden volcano in Alaska. We ought to include that too. So that would give us 8 in North and South America. So that's a lot of volcanoes going off. That's a lot of volcanoes going off. Tim G, we're going to be talking about Mary Jane, marijuana, in just a minute. As soon as Terry gets back, he has a lot of experience with CBD, and we're going to be talking about it too. Right now, Joe, Terry has left the air for just a couple of minutes. He'll be back. So you just hold on with Terry. He'll be back. He always comes back, and that's a great thing. Mel's still here trying to help all of you with your browser and device problems and getting into the network, which I really appreciate it. Thank you, Mel. You're a doll. You're an angel here. Those of you that don't know who Mel is, she is our webmaster here at freedomrevolutionnetwork.com, and she's done a great job helping us with the Emergency Management Associates portion of the work that she does here on our platform here. She and Scarlett have spent up late at nights and early mornings making sure this was going to work for us, and we really appreciate it. Guess Laura said she had a couple things to do, so she's not sure if this herb was mentioned. Lemon balm. Lemon balm. Now I have some lemon oil. I use lemon oil to make my own lemon balm. And again, this is doTERRA's lemon oil. In fact, just to show you how much I use, I have I've got lemongrass. I've got 2 bottles of lemon oil with me right now. Lemon oil you can use to clean wounds with. Yes, it'll burn like crazy, but you can use it for a lot of different things. I have used it diffusing in our home here. I've used it to diffuse our home. One of the things that I also have, I don't know whether you can see it on camera right now, is I use a diffuser. This is a pyramid style diffuser. The cover comes off in this area right here in the very top. This is where I put my essential oils, in this little hole right at the very top of it. Okay. In the bottom of it, I have some garbage here. In the very bottom, I'm going to take off right now because it prevents me from diffusing oil all that well. I'm going to clean it up right now before I go any further. This is one of the things I try to do about every 2 or 3 days, is to clean out the user section where I put water in my diffuser. And I usually only use bottled water in my diffuser. But right here is the water storage area where I put bottled water. And I pour about enough water to get about a 1/4 of an inch away from the top of it. Then I put on this smaller portion over the top of that with the essential oil that I'm going to diffuse. Then I put the cover on it. Okay. Then with this particular diffuser, I have 4 settings here, 4 settings on the front of it. And it will give me different light colors if I want to use it for light. I can show light on it. And it will light up my diffuser while I'm using it. And what I usually use in my diffuser is I have eucalyptus oil. Yes, here's my eucalyptus oil. And I pour like 2 or 3 drops of eucalyptus oil in the very top of my diffuser, and then I turn it on. And it immediately puts out a mist, puts out a little bit of a cloudy mist, and it will diffuse this essential oil into the air. And within a short time, when I've had bronchitis, it cleans up my sinuses and my my throat and my lungs where I can breathe better. It helps with all of that. So I'm very excited about that. Okay, I'm very excited about that. Okay. Yes, you're getting sound on the video, I hope. We're using a shared screen so we can see your chat, so we can talk with you and share information with others that you are also putting out. That's a great benefit to us and to you. Scooter Pie says we have mountains venting between Mount Shasta and Mount Lassen. Yes, just east of the city of Anderson. Yes, you did send me a photo, and I appreciate that. We do have venting going on at one of the volcanoes over there in Northern California.
I actually saw earthquakes for the first time at Mount Lassen. There's a site, the closest site that I have is 21 miles away, and it's a BDSN site.
Yes.
And they've been having earthquakes that knock the stylus off there. So I'm not sure what size they are, because when the stylus is knocked off the page, you don't know how big it is.
Yes.
But that's close enough to relate to Lassen when it's 21 miles away and showing those large earthquake signals.
Yeah. It's interesting with Shiveluche. Chris B is talking about Shiveluche here, that they tried to convince us that the ash only went up to 30,000 feet. And then when they were being challenged by us and everybody else about it being 85,000 feet, oh, we're sorry. All right. You know, up at 85,000 feet, it's over into the stratosphere, and it's going to go around the Earth quite a few times, and it blocked the sun as well. Yeah, it did. It blocked the sun over parts of the Earth. So
yeah, it was a big blast.
Yeah, it was. It was huge. But yes, and Tim G says the venting's been going on for over a month. You're right. It's been going off at 7 other volcanoes. This is the 8th. This is the 8th volcano.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's continuing. And that's, go ahead.
I just went through that area and I looked at all the cinder cones and volcanic features, lava flowouts that are obviously Holocene because they have no trees on them yet, while surrounding old lava flows do. And there's just an incredible number of cinder cones. Really, Mount Lassen is part of a volcanic field. And that field runs most of the way to Shasta. It takes a break, and then Shasta starts up. And then north of Shasta is a whole bunch of volcanic field craters and cinder cones, caldera lakes.
Yeah.
It's a very volcanic area.
It really is. I haven't been up there for a lot of years. Some of you that have been here since day one, you know that I was a scoutmaster. I told you I'd been a scoutmaster. And my scouts were not the ones that like to sit around and talk and play or screw around with other scouts at camporees. We like to hike and go out doing things. We were high adventure. We hiked the entire Pacific Crest Trail from Mexico to Oregon. No, we did not hike it all at once. It would have taken weeks to do that. We hiked a weekend here and a weekend there. I think it probably took a year and a half to do it. A year and a half. And so I've hiked up Mount San Jacinto. We talked a few weeks ago about the San Jacinto Fault. I've hiked up Mount San Jacinto. I've hiked up Mount San Gregorio that's in that same area. Okay, Mount San Gregorio. I've been up that entire chain. Mount Whitney in California, the highest mountain in California, I've been up. So the entire Sierra chain, all the way to Oregon. You know, it was great. It was great. Shasta, Lassen, we hiked up. Two of my scouts got sick on the way up to the top of Lassen, and they didn't make it. They stayed about halfway down. We had one of my assistant scout leaders with them, but the rest of us took off and summited Lassen. Okay, Scooter Pie wants me to switch screens to see what I am doing. To see what I'm doing. Very interesting. All right, let's try to do that. And I'm not sure how to do that, actually. Optimize screen for sharing video clip. I'm not doing that yet. Let's see, what am I doing here?
I'm checking seismographs while I'm listening to you, Ron. Mount Hood just fired right up, and so did North Crater Lake area.
Wow. Wow.
Actually, South Crater Lake area. And North.
Yeah. I'm not sure what I did here. Stop share. There we go. Okay, we're back. We're back. Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, you can now see me. I'm here. I'm here, everybody. I'm here. I'm still going to look at the chat room so we can talk with you. I think it's very important that we are able to talk with you. Yes, we have mountains venting. Terry just told us Mount Hood fired up as well. So we have quite a few mountains that are fired up. We've got a mountain over in Northern California that's fired up. We have Mount Hood that's fired up. We had a small emission from Mammoth Mountain as well that went up. It's not going to stop, folks. It really isn't.
Yeah, Sisters is busy as well.
Wow.
It seems like what happened just by the progression and the time delay is the crust started moving up north first and worked its way south.
Yeah. That wouldn't surprise me. Pam Beth asked, what about distilled water? I have used distilled in my diffuser. I have also used distilled water to drink with. My daughter and my granddaughter both drink distilled water. Well, the granddaughters now had purified water as well. So that works. Joe Bob says, bulging on which volcano? Scooter says there's also bulging on both northern and southeastern flanks. Shasta has been bulging, and Tim G says Shasta here. So we've got that. One of my friends also last week said Shasta was bulging. In fact, at Christmas time, before Christmas, she said Shasta had been bulging, and I had also been told that Rainier had bulged by someone else. In fact, I got to call her. I haven't heard from her since before Christmas. Terry, Pam Beth asked, how many volcanoes are there around the world? About 1,650. About 1,650.
And about 3 times or about 4 or 5 times as many seamounts.
Yes. Yes. Over on Volcano Discovery, for those of you that have Volcano Discovery on your telephone, you can have Volcano Discovery on your telephone very easily, going to the Play Store and adding it to your repertoire of um, of applications. Actually, I told you 1,650. There's 1,631 volcanoes. At the bottom of the Volcano Discovery app, it shows you how many volcanoes there are. There's how many earthquakes right now. Since the beginning of the year, since January 1st, we've had 8,224. 8,224 earthquakes.
Now
We've had,
consider with those volcanoes that the majority of them aren't called volcanoes, even though they are.
yeah,
There's all kinds of small ones that are also volcanoes that aren't recognized.
yes, yeah,
So you can easily take that number and be conservative by going up by 5 times. And if you start getting into very large cinder cones that have had large magma flow out areas in the Holocene period, you can 5 times that again,
yeah,
make it 10 times.
yeah,
There's an awful lot of stuff that is not recognized.
yeah,
Mountains that are not recognized as volcanoes, but they're quite obviously have calderas or craters on the top, um, and caldera lakes right beside them, and often cinder cones. And they're not tracking where all but the major volcanoes are.
yeah.
And in many cases, they aren't tracking those ones
Yeah.
because they're too
Folks,
old.
north of New Zealand, about an hour ago, north of New Zealand near Tonga, we had another 5.1 magnitude earthquake. North of New Zealand, closer to Tonga, we've had another 5.1 magnitude earthquake there. Um, Again, Volcano Discovery will show you where the earthquakes are. Here's a map of not just earthquakes, but also volcanoes. Okay, it'll show you that. It'll show you that. It's it's amazing what the Volcano Discovery uh, will do for you. We have a list of earthquakes. Earthquakes the Volcano Discovery will give you. So this is a wonderful app, and it does even a better job than the EMSC. Does an even better job than EMSC does, and it's honestly, it's honestly one heck of a great app for volcanoes, and it'll tell you about everything that's going on, and you can set this app so it will notify you what earthquakes are going off. You can set it for whatever magnitude earthquake that you want it to tell you about. And from that point on, it will tell you about earthquakes over 3 or over 2 or over 5, whatever you want it to tell you. But I use the EMSC. Let me find it here and I'll show you the EMSC app here. I've got like 40 apps on this phone. This is insane. Here it is. Here is the EMSC app. It will tell you about the last quakes that we've had. It will load up. Here are the last quakes that we've had here that the EMSC is telling us about. A 3.4 in Puerto Rico, of course, a 4.5, 3.3 there. Greece had a 3.8 within the last 2 hours. They had a 3.7 there. The Czech Republic has been active. Yesterday, the Czech Republic had a 3. Today, the Czech Republic had a 2.6 4.2 in Puerto Rico. Again, Puerto Rico is going to continue to get hammered. Whenever you have an 8.4 magnitude earthquake and another 8.0 2 days later or 3 days later, you can better believe that there's going to be aftershocks and sometimes severe aftershocks. Severe aftershocks. Scooter Pie is talking about Mount Baker has magma movement. Yes, it does. Per the seismo, absolutely. Glacier Peak, magma movement since noon today. See, you guys are great. Since we've been talking about seismos, even you guys have been going and taking a look at seismos. And some of you are telling me about something before I have a chance to find it myself. That's awesome. Tim G says earthquakes are dangerous, but if you exercise common sense, you'll be able to react to them different than if you didn't know about them. That's why we talk about it. You're better prepared to handle the earthquake. You're better prepared for it because you've got emergency preparedness kits. You've developed an emergency plan to be able to handle whatever's going on. And yes, volcanoes will straight up get you killed. Absolutely. But if you see what's going on, you're watching the seismos, you can actually move out of the volcano's way. I hope. Okay. Irana says they can only get me on the radio. And Mel's trying to help her. Anyway, getting back, and yes, I wanted to show you this other application before I go back and talk about earthquakes here, because we're going to get into some earthquakes now. We're already at the 2-hour point. I can't believe it's been 2 hours already. Here is the earthquake app that is a mixture of EMSC and other applications. This is called My Earthquakes, and it'll pinpoint your area that's had earthquakes. I live in Utah. It's telling me that we've had 2 earthquakes here in southern Utah today. Okay, but it also tells me about earthquakes literally all over the country, and literally here is part of the Ring of Fire. This is up in Hawaii, down here in Alaska, up here, the Aleutian Island chain here, all the way over to Kamchatka Peninsula, and over into Japan, the South Pacific. Australia got hit. I'll tell you about that in just a second. Indonesia and Australia here. Australia up in northwestern Australia got hit by a 3.2 magnitude earthquake. Gingera, Western Australia, northwestern Australia. Gingera, northwestern Australia, got hit by a 3.2. Now this is an area that is northeast of Broome, Australia. Earlier last year, I believe it was summer last year, Broome, Australia got hit. Broome, Australia was further down here near the point, near this point here. Broome, Australia got hit with a 6.3 magnitude earthquake offshore. There were no injuries and no damage over in Broome, Australia, but it got hit by a 6.3, and now it's still occasionally getting hit by aftershocks. But today, here we have another small earthquake up in northwestern Australia. We can also take a look at the Middle East and Europe. The Middle East and Europe. We can take a look at everything going on there. Here is Northern Europe here. We can also look, we've had earthquakes and even volcanoes down here in Central Africa, on the continent of Africa. We can take a look at all that. So my app on this, my app that we have for this works out very, very well. Today over in the Canary Islands, we had a 1.5 today. Okay. I've consistently shown you this application when we've been talking about earthquakes. Okay, it's very good. South America there, we show you that 5.0 that hit over there in South America off the coast of Peru. We also had a 5.3 over in central Argentina today. So that's going. That's going. While Terry is still finishing up pulling some more earthquake data off the seismos, I want to show you this. Again, doTERRA lemon oil. doTERRA lemon oil we have here. We have a Digest Zen oil. It's great for solving digestion issues, stomach problems. This is that deep blue oil that you can buy. Deep blue that helps with aches and pains. You can mix it in with some of your lotion, and it acts like a thermal, I don't remember what it's called. You can buy it on pads and put it on your back or wherever your aching arms or whatever. But that's what Deep Blue does. It also, you can buy a cream that comes in a bottle about 9 inches tall, and it's blue in color. The
So I have one herbal for you. I've been wondering about how to discuss it. I'm just going to call it C, and you can sort it out from there. Anyway, I make a cream from the C. I grow it myself, and before producing anything medicinal, I did 6 weeks of 8 hours of a day equivalent study of everything associated with it. And I use both the roots and the leaves and the flowering parts to make a for carrier oils, I used grapeseed oil and coconut oil mixed together, and I use 90% alcohol soak of this, and then distill it at low temperatures with the plant material held above the alcohol, and make an oil concentrate, and then mix it with the carrier oils. There's a guy that's a friend of mine. He's got an osteoarthritic ankle, and he puts this cream on his ankle twice a day. And now this guy's had long-term issues with his ankle, has tried everything that pharmaceuticals have to offer for pain, and it gets back up to such a pain level that he has a significant limp. He started using this cream that I just plain gave to him. I didn't sell it to him. And he walks without a limp, and he quit all of his analgesic medication. There's no psychotropic effects from it. He just puts the cream on twice a day, and he's more active than he was before, and he doesn't limp. He says his pain's significantly lower, and he just carries on with that. There's another guy that has had back surgery, and his pain, even while on analgesics, gets up to 8 out of 10, which is debilitating level pain. And for him, I don't use the roots. I just use the leaves and the flowering portions. And I make a concentrate, and that's a full strength concentrate. I do a fine grind of the plant material and a 5-day soak in 90% alcohol, and then distill out the alcohol with the plant material again raised above the lower level, and then mix the oil with the same carrier oils as you do otherwise, or you can just use it straight, depending on what your dosage requirements are. If it's the straight oil that he's using the equivalent of a little less than half of a sesame seed twice a day, and his pain is 2 out of 10, and he's fully functional and more active than he was before.
That's cool.
From 8 out of 10 down to 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
So everything is provided in nature for our benefit, as long as we use it appropriately.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I grow this this plant myself, in excess of 8 feet tall, with the natural fertilizer that I use, and it's not greenhouse.
Yeah. Terry told me about this the other day. It was awesome. So cool. So cool. I just admired Terry for that. I really do. I really do. One other oil that I like to use around the holidays, and I still have quite a bit of it left, is this oil that I call, or they call, Holiday Blend. It's also a doTERRA product called Holiday Blend. And it smells honestly like cinnamon and pine tree at Christmas time. It's awesome. You diffuse that in your diffuser and you're off in the Christmas spirit. It really does something for your home, for your bedroom, wherever you diffuse it. I also have basil. I also have basil here. I've got peppermint. Peppermint. What do I use peppermint for? I diffuse peppermint in the air when I'm hoarse, when I am having problems with my throat. It clears it up, like eucalyptus. Peppermint is wonderful, and you can make all sorts of good stuff with it. I've also used peppermint in my icing for cakes. Okay, icing for cakes. And no, I don't use a lot of sugar in my icing for cakes. I've come up with other substitutes that I use, and it works a lot better without all the sugar to it. I've used that too. Orange oil. Have you ever thought of using a few drops of orange oil in your brownies? Having orange brownies. You can also diffuse this too in the air. Don't do it in a small bedroom though, because it'll burn your eyes. But you can diffuse orange oil.
Orange oil is very sun reactive. Don't put it on your skin and go out in the sun, because you'll get the worst sunburns ever.
Oh, yes. I have tangerine oil here. I have peppermint. This is some peppermint oil. These were capsule, or tiny little nodules in this bottle, smaller bottle here. This is my peppermint oil that I diffuse too. Let's see. I've got a few other things, and this is called my physician's kit. I've got rosemary oil. Okay. And I wish I could find my book, because my book tells how to use all of these different kinds of oil. I've got lavender. Lavender. Lavender, you can put lavender oil on a t-shirt at night. If you wear a t-shirt to bed, it will help relax you. You put a little bit of lavender oil on your finger and put it on your pillow. It'll relax you. You can diffuse lavender as well. Some people are allergic to it. Some people are allergic to it. I've got cypress oil, lemon oil, several bottles of lemon oil actually, and chamomile. I've got chamomile oil. That will help put you to sleep. That will help put you in nighty-night land. Nighty-night, I'm going by oregano oil. Okay? Oregano oil can be used for all sorts of medicinal medicinal uses. Oregano oil. It's awesome. What else? I've got some more lavender oil here. I've got tea tree. I've actually got a large bottle of tea tree and a small bottle of tea tree oil. Now, if your face is for those of us that shave, and you ladies could use it on your legs to lessen the irritation of shaving. Tea tree oil smells good. It'll make you feel good. One of the things that I have done, and they've also done in hair cutting places like Sports Clips. I don't know whether they have a Sports Clips place up near you, Terry, but they do all over the U.S. and they have some places in Canada too, from what I understand. But they take towels, moistened towels that are just slightly damp, and they have a tea tree oil that they put in the water in a machine that helps diffuse the water throughout this machine. So the towels that they use have the tea tree oil on them. And what they do is they put it after you get a haircut and they're washing your hair, they put a hot towel over your face with that tea tree oil on it. Boy, does that feel good. Ladies, you can use that to lessen irritation on your legs as well. Just a hint, because it works. Okay.
Now here's another one for you. The common dandelion. It's a good one because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's been used in traditional Chinese healing for breast concerns, appendicitis, stomach problems. Native Americans boil and drink dandelion extract to help treat digestion problems, skin ailments, inflammation, liver injury, kidney disease, and heartburn. Early Europeans used it to remedy diabetes, high fever, and diarrhea.
Wow.
Dandelion is a very rich source of beta carotene, which we convert into vitamin A.
Wow.
This flowering plant is also rich in vitamin C, fiber, potassium, iron, calcium, magnesium, zinc, and phosphorus. It's a good place to get B complex vitamins, trace minerals, organic sodium, and even some vitamin D. Dandelion also contains more protein than spinach.
Wow. That's great.
Just the common dandelion.
Yeah. Now, we used to use this when I was a kid, and our mother hated this. But my brother and I found out that you can use dandelion greens, the leaves of dandelions, and cook them up like spinach, and they're just as good for you. My mother thought I thought we were going to get kicked out of that house when we started using her pots to boil dandelion greens, and we were eating them like spinach. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing what you can use them for. I love it. You know? And I talked a little bit about leaving before a volcano eruption, being prepared, being able to leave. Tim says, yeah, but you have to leave prior to the eruption. Yeah. Yeah. As long as you're keeping an eye on what's going on, because the agencies aren't going to tell us squat. They're not. They're not. And the people that are sharing information with me that live over near Mount Rainier and see Mount Rainier steaming off, and the rangers at the park say, "Oh, that's just snow."
Yeah,
I don't buy it.
they've got all kinds of stories.
Yeah.
The seismogram signals are wind, even though the seismograms are buried by snow and down in boreholes.
Yeah.
But it's wind. And when you see plumes off of volcanoes or steaming, it's snow.
Yeah. I have to laugh at these people because it is laughable. It's laughable. Oh, yes, Lynette. I was going to mention this. I totally spaced it. Lynette talks about using peppermint on your temples and the back of the neck to ease migraines. Absolutely. That does work, folks. That does work. Gosh. And spraying, putting a little water with that that lavender, putting like 3 or 4 drops of lavender in a spray bottle and spraying that on your sheets and pillow. Yes, it will definitely help relax you. Pam Beth says Mary Jane oil. Mary Jane oil.
Yeah, I think that's the oil I was discussing.
Yes. Yeah.
Chickweed is best used to soothe itchy and sore skin conditions. For anybody that's got psoriasis, itch, hives, whatever, chickweed is actually a natural for you add it to your bath water and just soak in it.
I'll have to get some.
So
my legs itch occasionally.
Yeah, it's great for itching.
Chickweed. That's a great idea.
There are so many weeds that are good for you.
Yeah. Yeah, there
Dandelions, chickweed.
Yeah. I'm going to get some chickweed in the next day or so. Can definitely do that. Storm Gypsy says dandelions are good for you. You can eat the whole plant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dandelion wine, dandelion jelly. I haven't done dandelion jelly yet. Somebody told me about that. I just haven't done the jelly part of it. Yeah, that's why they try to convince us they're weeds. Exactly. Lynette says she's with Young Living too. They have a few blends that she swears by. Breathe Again. Yeah, that's like doTERRA's got a thing called Breathe that's very, very good. And Breathe Again, Lynette says Young Living has. Deep Relief, doTERRA is very good. Yes. Melaleuca. Melaleuca is awesome. Gosh, yes. You can take Melaleuca tablets. You can get Melaleuca oil. There's just all sorts of good stuff. Guest Riley said, we were talking earlier about elderberry. Riley's telling us it's awesome. Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Aloe vera as an alternative to mouthwash.
Yes.
Lowers your blood sugar taken internally.
I didn't know that.
2 tablespoons of aloe vera juice per day will reduce your blood sugar levels.
Wow.
In people with type 2 diabetes.
What about type 1.5?
Well, in 1.5 it would work.
Yeah. I've got 1.5. The doctor says I'm not 1 and I'm not 2. I'm 1.5.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a natural laxative, so don't take too much.
Yeah. Yeah. Scooter Pie says, can you guys make a list and share it in your file? Yeah, we can do that.
I thought you guys were all writing this stuff down, Fury.
Yeah, we were hoping you would. By the way, folks, you're still going to be able to access this chat after it's all said and done. This is a 24-hour chat. So you can go back and go through all this stuff and pick it up yourself. You can do that. You can also go back through this video and watch it again and pick it up.
And you guys all know the benefits of aloe vera for burning and any skin issues.
Yeah.
That everybody knows that, so I didn't bring it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about talking about that too, but everybody knows about that. Pam Beth says, orange chocolate is very good. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. At Christmas time, my family buys me dark orange chocolate, and I love it. I love it. Gosh. Terry, that's one of my have to have stuff in my life is orange chocolate. Oh my gosh.
Did you know that chicory root contains inulin? It's almost insulin, but it's not.
I didn't know that. No.
It's a fiber that improves bowel movements, relieves constipation, and removes the buildup of toxin in digestive tracts.
No kidding.
And the root is also a prebiotic that promotes friendly bacteria within the gut.
Yeah.
And detoxes liver issues.
What is that called? I'm gonna write that down. What is it again?
Chicory.
Chicory, that's right.
Chicory root specifically.
Chicory root. Yeah, I'm gonna get some of that too. That's a good thing. Jewel seed grows next to poison ivy and is an antidote for it. I didn't know that. Jewelweed.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
absolutely correct. I'd forgotten about that one, and thanks for the reminder.
Yeah. Yeah.
And burdock is, if you get, it also grows commonly around stinging nettle. And if you crush the leaf and rub the juice on the burdock, it gets rid of the sting as well. Works for bee stings and other stings as well.
Oh, that's great. Didn't know that. I wrote that one down too. See, I'm taking notes. Of course, I take notes all the time. Mel, thank you for everything. Mel says she's turning in for the night. Mel is our webmaster here. We want you to know how much we love and appreciate you, Mel. You're awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, this stuff is awesome. I'm taking notes. I know Terry's got a whole mess of stuff written down. I know Terry.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is great.
And burdock root removes toxins from your bloodstream, may inhibit some types of cancer, and treats skin issues.
No, no kidding. I've heard of it. I didn't know about these skin conditions and everything, and you know.
But you start looking this stuff up, and you're just going, "Oh my goodness! It does this and this and this." It on another site, it actually detoxes the lymph system and skin.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to get some. That's another one I'm going to get tomorrow. Lynette is saying type 1.5 diabetes. Yes, that's both of us, Lynette. Where the pancreas still works but doesn't work great. Yep, that's us. That's us. When my doctor said I had type 1.5, because nobody explained that to me. When I was diagnosed, I went in the hospital and had, you guys are going to say I should be dead. You're right. When I went into the hospital for diabetes, I didn't know that I even had diabetes. But I had 800. My glucose level was 800. 800. I should have been dead. I got carried from my house to the car, from the car into the emergency room. I didn't even realize what was going on. I told the nurse that she looked pretty, and I was told later that she was ugly, and I'm going, huh? I didn't remember saying it. I don't remember the nurse. So anyway, that's what happens. You get high blood sugar like that, you're going to go comatose. You're not going to know anything. Comfrey oil. Laura says comfrey oil helps with inflammation and pain. It does. You can crush it up and freeze it in plastic wrap in flat assorted sizes, ready-made poultice. And that's what I've used it for in the past. I've got to get some more too. Comfrey, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That stuff is great. I used to use that quite a bit when I played ball and when I ran, because I'd get cramps in my legs and everything else. Comfrey is great. It's great. I've got to get some more of that. But anyway, folks, I wanted to show you this so you'll see it. This is what I call my physician's kit. doTERRA sells about 8 or 9 or 10 vials of oil. As you can see, I'm well past that. I've added a lot of oils to my physician's kit. I take these to emergency preparedness fairs. I have done forums on emergency medicine out in the field. In other words, out from the away from the house and at the house if you're sheltering in, and what the oils are used for. I have my own physician's kit. I keep them in this box of oils. So these are great to have. If you guys decide that you want to get something like this, Young Living and doTERRA both sell the boxes, and they sell a physician's type kit. So you can do that too. Oh, Lynette, you got it great. She has low blood sugar. It's like 49, and if it goes 175 at most. My blood sugar usually goes up to, I want to say, well, every once in a while I'll go up to 275, but not very often. But most of the time my blood sugar is at 225 or something like that. And I take a Novolog to bring it down during the day before meals or after meals. For example, before I go to bed, I'll double check my blood sugar, and I'll take some Novolog to knock it down to about 120, 110 type of thing. Blood glucose level of 115, 120, 110. You can go up to 130 and still be within limits. They say anywhere between 70 and 130 is good. My doctor tells me never to get below 90. Never get below 90. But it's a good thing. Okay, that's how I use my my insulin. I also have long-lasting insulin in the form of Levemir that I take at night, like 30 units of Levemir, and it helps keep my blood sugar really stable. That's what I do. That's what I do. Pam Bess says, type 2 diabetic, your pancreas is still functioning, still producing insulin. If you had no pancreas function, then you would be type 1. Pam is a type 2. Wow. That's awesome.
It was interesting. I was working with a somewhat more qualified paramedic partner. And he told me he was newly diagnosed with diabetes. And I told him about cinnamon. I told him about the need to focus on whole foods, stay away from sugar, of course, but slow release foods like brown rice and rolled oats, and stay away from white flour and stuff. And he kind of poo-pooed the whole thing. And I told him cinnamon actually helps carry glucose through the cell membrane.
Yeah, I swear by that.
He didn't believe that. Then he came back to me about 2 weeks later, because I was just temporarily working with him. He says, how was it? He said, I checked what you told me. He says, everything you told me was right. He says, how could you possibly know? You're not diabetic. How could you know so much about diabetes? I says, I research various things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just interested. So I research.
I do too. It's great. Do you folks have any questions for us? I know now we're at 9:30 and a half hour past our planned sign off here, but I want to give you guys a chance to ask any final questions as well. Terry and I really enjoy your questions.
And one thing, you guys, if you're looking for health benefits of any plants, type in just a keyword search into Google or whatever search engine you use. Type in the plant name and then follow it with herbal benefits. And then you'll get past all of the just plain Jane information and get to the actual herbalist type benefits.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a great idea. Negotiator's trying to type. Negotiator, I'm going to yank your arm. Do you know how to type, Negotiator? Oh, I love it. Um, your neighbor, I guess that's what he goes by. Your Nay, Neighi. Yes, your neighbor asks, "What is a well-rounded first aid kit?" Oh, gosh, I'm off in dreamland with my first aid kit because I was a EMT. I've got an EMT kit. I've got scissors. I've got scalpels. I've got all kinds of bandages. Um, I would think a well-rounded first aid kit would be um, first aid burn cream, different size bandages from just a regular wrap bandage to a butterfly bandage, um, smaller bandages even for smaller wounds. I would carry a triangular bandage so you can use it either as a tourniquet, or better yet, use it to keep your arm immobilize your arm or your leg. Okay, if you get a really bad sprain or a break, use it to immobilize your arm and leg. Wrap it around your arm, tie it in back of your neck, and you got a sling. Okay, and you can also cut up your triangular bandage and use it as cut it up and use it as in smaller pressure bandages as well. I would carry some 4x4, 2x2 gauze. White medical tape is a good thing. Always have, oh, this is the EMT in me. I have Metzenbaum scissors to cut bandages and stuff with.
And suture stuff supply.
Yes, I've got suture kit too. You know, um, little one says she's fading out. Little one, I love you, little lady. You're a great lady. Thank you so much for being here with us. Yeah, practice on the chicken.
Let me give you the quickest tip on non-doctor suturing. In your first aid kit, keep a few of those really small tubes of crazy glue.
Yes.
And it's easier if you have a little bit of thread, and then you don't have to cut hair and use hair, because hair will work as well.
Yeah.
You have to stop the bleeding first. So you apply pressure until the bleeding is stopped. And if it's not going to stop, you have to actually keep one side of the wound dry. And then what you do is you have pre-cut short chunks of thread or hair, and you glue them to one side, and you let the glue set. And then you pull them across to the other side and glue them down, pulling the wound closed step by step as you go. And you can very effectively suture with no needle, doing not super deep sutures, but you can do topical sutures that way and never use a needle.
Yeah.
Crazy glue and little bits of thread.
Yeah. I had a surgeon one time. We came on an accident. And this person had tore open their arm at the accident. They had it hanging out the door. And when the truck flipped, they cut up their arm. This surgeon says, Ron, you have any crazy glue in your first aid kit? Yeah, I did. He was the first doctor I've ever seen using crazy glue. I thought I'd use it at some point in time, but I'd never done it. Here the doctor opened the crazy glue, threw a needle through the crazy glue tip to open it up, and put crazy glue on the wound and closed it. Couldn't believe it. He cleans the wound out, puts some crazy glue on it, and closes the wound. Incredible. Yep. And he did it fast. It is so slick.
If I remember correctly, Crazy Glue was designed for suturing purposes during the Vietnam War.
Wow. Wow. That wouldn't surprise me. This doctor told me a bunch of stuff, and it only makes sense. To me, it only makes sense. But
you don't want it in the wound, though.
No, you don't want it in the wound. No, you don't.
A little tiny bit, maybe, but
just on the outside of the wound,
yeah.
just to close it up. It was just amazing what I learned that night. Holy cats! Just to give you an idea, though, folks, and this is me. This is me. Before I was an EMT, I was a crazy, ornery teenager. 16 years old, my parents decided to go on vacation, the first vacation they had had alone without all of us kids. Now, I was the oldest of 6 kids, okay? I was the oldest of 6 kids. And I was in charge while my parents were gone. And I thought I'd go out and clip the bushes using the shear, clip the bushes out, mow the lawn, do everything. So when they got back to the house, it'd all be pretty and everything. Well, I cut the end off my finger. I cut it down to the bone. So I held his finger together to stop the bleeding. I took a needle and held it over the gas stove and sterilized the needle. I had my sister thread the needle for me. And she says, "What are you going to do?" I didn't tell her because she probably would have fainted. She was like 10 or 11, 12 years old at the time. Anyway, I sutured up my finger with green thread. Green thread. And I put a Band-Aid over it, and it was healing. My parents get home, and my mom sees a Band-Aid on my little finger and said, "Ron, what did you do?" I said, "Oh, I cut my finger. I just put a Band-Aid over it." I didn't realize that she would yank the Band-Aid off and see the green thread in the tissue of my finger. And she grabs me by the ear, says, "What'd you do?" And I said, "Oh, I cut it." She goes, "How'd you cut it?" And I told her, "We're taking you down to the doctor right now." And I'd already had a tetanus shot at one time, wasn't worried about tetanus or anything like that. She ran me down to the doctor's office, had the doctor look at it. And the first thing the doctor said, folks, "Good job, Ron." My mother's response, "Don't tell him that." That's the first time I had sutured anything up, ever. And then later when I was an EMT, I had to do 7 work sessions in the ER, in the emergency room at a hospital. And that's like anywhere from 7 to 14 hours in a hospital at a time. And believe me, there were 14-hour days that I had to work for nothing. I was an intern. I was an EMT wannabe intern. And twice, the ORs were busy in that hospital because of accidents that had come in. Twice, I was with a surgeon in the emergency room doing surgery in the emergency room. The first time I was watching the doctor. He says, "I want to have you watch me as I suture because one day you might have to do this yourself." The second time was a different doctor, and he was head of the emergency room. He was head of emergency medicine at that hospital. And he said, "Ron, I'm going to teach you how to do suturing." I'm going, "What? You're going to have me do what?" "You're going to suture this patient when we close." "Really?" And I did. He taught me how to suture. I was blown away. And then later, I think I told this story to Terry. Later, when I was an EMT, they were going to throw out a bunch of surgical kits at that hospital because they bought new equipment. I was able to get quite a few surgical kits from that hospital because of that emergency room physician. He gave it to me, and I passed them out among other EMTs. So we all had surgical kits. And over here in my 72-hour kit is where my EMT kit is today. It's great. It's great. Pam Beth says mistletoe can be a cancer fighting agent for some people. I've heard that too. I've heard that too. There's all sorts of cool stuff. Julissa says, I'm not on meds. I'm a hypoglycemic, but now I get high blood sugar too. That's why they said type 1.5, type 1.5. Yeah, that's cool, Julissa. That's cool. I'm sorry you have you have blood sugar problems. That's not laughable matter. That's a serious matter. One of my best friends in high school had hypoglycemia. I ought to ask her what she's doing now too. She's married and got 5 kids.
I'm just going to see what happens here, Ron.
Yeah. Holy cats.
Just seeing.
That's great.
I
Terry,
can
you
share
did
from
it.
my end.
Yeah, you can control from your end. Awesome. Let's do
I
this.
didn't know I could do that.
Yeah, you can do it. Folks, this is Mount Rainier.
That's not the worst. I just wanted to try it because we're kind of at the end of the program.
Right. That's great.
Oh, there's a stop share button. There we go.
So tomorrow, Terry, you can control it and you can show us seismos.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you can show us that.
I got to try this one more time here. Let's see. How did I do that?
Share. Go
Share
to share.
screen. Yeah, and then it's that one. And then I hit, how did I, oh, there it is. There you go. There's White Creek at Mount Rainier.
Look at that, folks. Look at that. And that's just the last few hours.
Now it's got a circle going around and around. That's been going on at Mount Rainier since about 11 o'clock this morning. Anyway, I'll stop that share.
You don't have to. That was awesome. You ought to see the rest of it. I showed Mount Rainier, Voigt Creek earlier to my sister, to the lady that Terry and I were talking about, who is actually probably a short distance cousin. I call her my sister because I love her so much. I really do. She's awesome. But she was on here the other night on chat too. But I showed her and her daughter Voigt Creek, and they went crazy. All of a sudden they realized her daughter, who had been complaining that her mother had gone off the deep end about emergency preparedness, and that had told her that Mount Rainier was getting ready to go. And I showed her this Voigt Creek, and all of a sudden that changed the atmosphere completely. Here's Glacier Peak. Look at this.
This is 3 times the highest level I have seen previously. It's 3 times higher than I've ever seen.
Yeah. And that's just the last few hours since 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. And it just blows me away because I can see changes in 2 days. And we had somebody in chat saying, oh, I've been watching for years and there's no change. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't believe you said that. Yeah, I couldn't believe you said that. Yeah. Yeah, somebody told me that in one of the comments over on YouTube too. And I'm going, give me a break. Give me a break. I've been studying this for how many years? Terry's been at it for how many years? And somebody tells us, oh, that's not true. Okay, whatever. And I hate that word, whatever. I'm sorry I used it, guys.
So there's where Glacier Peak started today. So there was about 4 hours on the other screen, and there's another 4 hours in this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I say it started, it just got that much busier.
Yeah. It started about 8 o'clock this morning, 8:30, 8:15 this morning, and then it just got worse about, well, probably about 11:30.
Yeah. Well, this is the previous day that I just put up there now. That's the 15th. And that's the start of it about 11 o'clock, 11:30.
Yeah, there's a good sized earthquake there too.
Well, there's a little one. Are you seeing my cursor arrow?
Yes.
When I move it? Okay, yeah. So this is about a 1.5 earthquake, given the duration of it. You can't really go by the size. And this one here is a harmonic tremor, which relates to magma churning relative to temperature, basically, in the volcano.
Yeah.
So that's a very normal signal there. This is an earthquake, but it's a small one. Yeah. Just so everybody knows.
Yeah, I'm sorry I called that small one a good sized earthquake. Good size of 1.5, 1.2, something like that.
It's big enough to record.
Yeah, it's big enough to record. Still an earthquake.
Yeah.
Still an earthquake.
That signal, because the seismogram is well away from the volcano, it's not well placed. That seismogram is every bit as active as Mount Rainier. Just so everybody understands. Yeah. The activity level is the same.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that I can put these up now.
Oh, yeah. We've got access to a lot of things now that we didn't have before. This is great. This is really great.
And Rockport's interesting. I'll put Rockport up because it's in between the two.
Yes.
And just give me half a sec because I'm still getting used to this. I'm getting quicker. Okay, the big blue up here is a harmonic tremor. That's no big deal. But there's a 1.0 there. There's a 1.2 there. There's something like a 1.2, 1.3 there. There's a 1.0 there, just roughly. I'm not getting bang on. But these are all the fractures in the crust in between Glacier Peak and Rainier. And that's why it's significant. Because these are fracturing of the crust due to the activity that's in between. Or on either side, sorry. This is in between.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what makes it significant.
Yeah. So you see what's going on, guys? It's getting heavier and heavier every day.
Yeah.
You know, you can't deny it. When you look, you know, the agencies can say one thing, but when you look at the inner workings of everything, it changes the entire picture. It changes the entire picture. You know, it's crazy, as I say. It really is.
Well, I think that's cool that I can do that, Ron.
I agree. I think it's awesome.
Because it doesn't take long because I got all these sites on tabs. I don't have to go hunt them down.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool. It's cool. And folks, you can still go through this program. It downloads automatically now to YouTube on the Freedom Revolution Network on YouTube. So you can go back and watch these on your big screen TV if you want and see what we're doing. So that's another good thing. Okay. So you have some access to pertinent information it's going to save your life.
It's
Okay.
kind of nice to be able to share the evidence, because on YouTube we couldn't share the evidence really.
Yeah. And
We
now
didn't
we're
have
able
the means
to.
of popping it up.
Now we're able to. This is awesome. I think this was Desmond. Mandy. Mandy saying, oh, well, it's sad with Dutch Sense and now this. We went off YouTube because we were being censored, folks. That's why we left YouTube. We decided it was safer to do this and then post back to YouTube. They couldn't censor us. They
They
couldn't
were
buffer you guys.
they were cutting out sections of the program in the videos too. They were taking out
Yes.
sections.
Yeah, they were taking out sections. It's not worth it. At least now you get to hear the program. You get to know exactly what's going on.
And hopefully Clarity gets the mobile stuff sorted out, because all the mobile devices aren't working apparently,
Right.
and
And,
that means half or 2/3 of the audience can't see this,
yeah.
can't be involved.
But we're going to get that settled too.
Yeah.
It's all going to come out in the wash. It's going to work. It's going to work. And I'm sorry that Mel saying LOL set you off. I'm sorry about that, but quite honestly, folks, she does one heck of a great job. And yes, when she has a chance to let off a little steam, go LOL. You know, we all have said that many times, whether we meant it in all real life that we're laughing or not. She's a good person. She's great. She didn't mean any harm. She really didn't. And all of this is a learning experience. BJ Blake said it's all learning. It's a great learning experience, and it is. Okay. Before, with the other program, you weren't getting the full insight of what was going on, unfortunately. Okay. I'm sorry, but you weren't. And now we're giving you more information. We're giving you more information to let you know exactly what's happening. Okay. And don't get me wrong, I really like him. I like him a lot. I'd love for him to come on our program. I've invited him numerous times. And this is an open invitation for him to come over here. Not a problem. Call me, email me, let's talk. Okay. Yes, India did make it illegal for these kind of networks and everything. They want to have total, complete control and censor everything. And that's
And
okay.
it's not just in the U.S., it's around the world that the censorship is happening.
Yeah.
And, this just prolongs the program. I think it was very likely they were going to shut it right down anyway.
Yeah. Folks, back in November, the first part of November, I got a nastygram, an email from YouTube telling me they were going to shut down channels like mine. And they urged me to hurry up and get my material off YouTube if I wanted to keep it. Very true. And what I did, I took it off. My videos are still there and they're going to remain there, but I am gradually downloading all of my videos in case YouTube shuts it down. They threatened to. They threatened to do that. And that's why I left YouTube. I did not want to continue to be censored. I didn't want them shutting me down. We're doing a great service to the community all over the world, not just the United States, but all over the world. Our program is all over the world, folks. From Northern Europe and Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland, Switzerland, Germany, over to the Czech Republic, Romania, down in Australia, over in Japan, over into Indonesia, over into South America, Chile, Brazil, Argentina carries us, Bolivia has us, and we even have some people in Venezuela. We have people that watch our program over in Costa Rica, Panama, Mexico. We have people all over the world, literally. And Canada, of course. Canada, go figure. And by the way, Terry, I'm told to tell you about some people. that you may or may not know. You've seen them in chat on a few occasions.
Yes.
Oh yes. Where'd they go here?